We are back in the Mesilat Yesharim. We want to wish everybody also a very happy and healthy Purim, full of mitzvah and joy. La Yehudim hayta ora v'simcha v'sason ve'ikar. Ora is Torah. Torah is the light. And we need the Mesilat Yesharim. We're in the chapter 11, right in the middle. He says, Amnam klalo shel davar kemo shemechmam rabbah. He says the bottom line is, oh my God, it makes my heart cry, my heart rip apart, because I've seen this. For money, people are willing to throw God, friendship, integrity under the bus. So he says you have to be very careful. You know, pedar modar nadare. When it comes to money, people become blinded and drunk. And they're willing to do anything. It's just, crazy. But he says the bottom line is that there's an intense desire and lust for money, right? Greed, to be greedy. And it's very common. It's also very far and few between that you find people that are not money hungry and greedy. So a lot of people, there's no limit to their greed. You know that. It's sad. So he says, if you want to audit yourself and make sure you're a good person, integrity, then be very careful. Because you know that the default setting is that you're going to try to mess people over and be greedy. Just dealt with this today. So it says, if you're able to be scot clear, right? We're learning NEKIYOOT. NEKIYOOT means that not only don't you steal, but you don't do anything shady. He says you should know that you got to a very lofty and high place in spiritual ecstasy and greatness. You know? The Mesilat is saying. He says a lot of people, they'll daven for an hour, but when it comes money, they'll stab you. They'll stab their best friend in the back. That's what happened to my dad. You know, it's when it comes to money, I guess they have another Shulchan Aruch or another God, Chas v'Shalom. They're and it's sad. People don't even have mercy on the synagogue. They're really even to, do something that's disadvantageous and mess over the synagogue. So he says, "Uvinyan sinat habetza lo yachlu lagia shlemut el mechos shlemut." He says, as long as you don't hate corruption, you're not a chassid. You're not a real holy person, right? So don't fake yourself out. And it's sad. There's so many people that, when push comes to shove, they're willing to do anything and anything for money. And what happened to your all that Gemara and all that Musar that you learned and all that God-fearingness that you had? It all goes out the what? Window. I guess some people are willing to sacrifice their integrity, good name, God, Torah, friendship for money. It's just, that's what he says. It's very hard to, He says if you are able to be scot clear of corruption, then you become a great person. You should pat yourself on the shoulder. Humasha Amar Sofer HaNeumi le'Iyov. That's what the friend of Iyov told him. In Aven biyadecha erchiku v'al tishkon ba'alecha avla ki az tisa panecha mimum v'ayita mutzak v'al tireh. He says that's what the job Iyov's friends told him. That he said if you actually that's scot-free and clear of any corruption and any misdemeanor in money of doing anything shady and trying to mess people over, then that's in itself his greatness. He says, I've till now just talked about money. The last few classes we talked about money specifically, being scot-free of any type of corruption,
Paying your employees on time.
paying like any financial type of money type of being free and clear of anything shady or questionable. But he says, now he says, I want to go to sexual sin. They say three things sell in Hollywood: sex, sex, and sex. So that's we're also living in the most shameless, and people don't even blush anymore. So it's also very important for us in this day and age. It's scary.
Right.
That 1 week that I was in Israel, thank God, in Jerusalem, I was mostly 99% in only the very good neighborhoods. I realized how bad it is. We become desensitized.
Yeah.
So he says the number one thing that corrupts us is our lust and greed for money. The second thing is sexual sin. Whether we sin with our eyes or ears or actually go to the physical sin.
Those are some of the worst sins.
Yeah, in the Talmud in Bava Basra in 165 says most people are going to have to pay the piper answer for the sin of what? Of stealing, sometimes some shady corruption business, but a lot miyutan, there is a substantial minority of people that have done sexual sin. He says somebody that wants to become totally scot-free and clear of this, it's not an easy job either. It's not a piece of cake. He says, of course, it's not only going and sleeping with prostitutes or being a womanizer or anything that leads to it. And that's what it says in the Torah. We're going to get to it very soon, chapter 18. It says, Lo tikrevu legalot el ra. The Torah says, do not even come close to unveiling sin. Which means unveiling, nudity. So it says, the Midrash says, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu al tomar hoil v'asur l'ishtamesh be'isha reini tofsa ve'en li avon areini me'gufa ve'en avon o shani noshka ve'en li avon. He says, just because it's forbidden to do intimacy, maybe I'll just hug her and have pleasure that way from her, kiss her that way from her, or rub against her. Hashem says no. The same way a Nazirite, right, like Shimshon, has to not only not eat wine, but any grapes or grape seed or anything. Af isha she'eno shelcha, it says, same thing, a woman that's not yours has to be totally off limits. You shouldn't look at her. You shouldn't have any benefit from anybody that's not your wife. Right? Oh my God. It's like what it says in Pirkei Avot. It says, whoever goes and touches a woman that's not his, he brings death to himself. You hear that? That's why the Lubavitcher Rebbe said it the best. When women would stick out their hand, he'd say, what? In our religion, we don't touch anybody except our wife. And I've told this to countless women. They really, most of them, one of my bankers actually said, I want to become Jewish, if that's the religion.
Wow.
He says, so it's very interesting. Chachamim compare the forbiddenness of a Nazir to have wine to sexual sin. So it says the same way the Torah puts black and white, how a Nazir should be 10 steps away from wine, because that's what the sota, right? Why does a person become a Nazir? Because a woman, when you become drunk and lightheaded, it brings to sexual sin. You have to put boundary after boundary. It says like he shouldn't even walk near a vineyard, a Nazir. You know that?
Wow.
So he says you have to use the same boundaries and guidelines for sexual sin. That's why, like my Rebbe said a beautiful thing. He said like a website or a magazine that you're even have a 1% chance that it has a naked or non-modest woman, you shouldn't open that website. You shouldn't open that GQ magazine. GQ is full of it.
Of course.
There's a great rabbi in this city, Rabbi Sauer. He's one of the number one poskim. Yeah, he's a Rebbe in Eula.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had a very wonderful tradition. He would always do carpool through the side streets, so you shouldn't see the billboards.
Oh, wow.
So he's learning it from here. He says Nazir is just a guideline and the poster child of really what we should do for all the mitzvot. That's where, actually, the great, I think the Rambam is the one that says that's where the rabbis learned to put all these like laws of mukseh and Shabbat, which we're going to get to very soon. Because the Torah is the most precious item in the world. So you have to put security around it. When the Chachamim saw that the laws of the Torah are going down the drain, they put countless laws of like not taking interest, even rabbinical interest. Countless laws on Shabbat that are rabbinical to keep the day what? Holy. Same thing here. In order for you to stay holy, holiness is somebody that is totally separated and scot-free from sexual sin. So he says, if you want to learn the right way to put a spiritual security around your soul, learn it from Nazir. King Solomon talks about this countless times. Shlomo HaMelech in Mishlei says, like, don't go near the house of a harlot, a prostitute. Not a good idea to go out and have a coffee bean or Starbucks on Hollywood Boulevard if you're a single man, right? So it says, ועל זה הדרך אסרו בעניין של ראיות כל מה שאומרים לזנות או קרוב יהיה באיזה חוש בין מעשה בין בריאה בין דיבור בין שמיעה. So same thing, sexuality, of course the Mac Daddy of the sin is what? Physical intimacy. But Chachamim said, no, don't even touch. That's why they're Shomer Negiah. Don't look.
Shomer Negiah is there or not?
Well, most probably. I have to go look at. I gave a whole shir on it. I have to go look. It could be. It could be that it's has roots in Torah. But the pasuk says, "Don't come close to women that you're forbidden with."
Right.
Depends on which type of women, I think. But you're not allowed to look. You're not allowed to talk, like we learned Pirkei Avot. It says, "Don't talk too much to women," because if you do that, you're gonna your Torah is gonna be wasted your time, and then you're gonna go to hell. Oh,
yeah, it's true. It's just
don't even listen to women to sing. Remember, I have a whole shir on that, right? That we're not allowed to have. Remember, I taught you that. You're not allowed to have female singers, and you're not allowed to think about them. Now he said, Bezat Hashem, in our next class, he's going to bring the Ramchal different cases in rabbinical literature, in the Midrash and the Torah and the Talmud, how it's forbidden to look. So he says, for sure, already the next class is going to be looking, how bad it is to look at women that you're forbidden to. Because what you look at, the Maharal says you get connected to. But he says it's obvious that any hugging, kissing, and stuff is forbidden, because it says to the Torah, don't come close to them. But something that requires extra effort. Actually, a lot of the biggest rabbis say the test of our generation is to have kosher eyes. That's why I pay for like $140 a year to keep my phone kosher, to have a filter on it. That's why many people don't even have smartphones, or they don't have any phone with the internet, because it's great people that are even presidents of synagogues have gone to very, very bad. They've been caught with addicted to very bad pornographic stuff. So it's scary. So Be'ezat Hashem, next week we will go to the test of our generation, which is kosher eyes. And
That's
Hashem
gonna be
should
really
help
good.
us. Amen.